Alright, rolling. Hey folks, this is Rebel Rouse with Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tornado himself, Tony Frinkel.
And Psychic Tom Paget with a quiet crystal ball.
And, Tom, I understand you're getting involved in the big industry of telemedicine.
Yes. Only if you're one of the first 500 callers in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah. You're going to do telepathic medicine.
Yep. You free corona spot on. Yeah.
You were spot on with all your predictions for last week.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Tom said he's going to contribute to the crisis right now because, you know, there's a big problem with testing. So you call the hotline, and he'll give you the coronavirus telepathic test for $19.99. One-time only payment.
Right, but see, again, now, if you're one of the first... But if you're one of the first 500 callers in the next 15 minutes, you'll get the special price.
Oh, see.
We'll knock $1 off. Yes, sir. So it'll be $18.99.
Well, anyway.
I'll pay that extra $1.
Anyway,
there's more.
Are you guys on official lockdown or not yet? Getting serious? Are you allowed to leave your house?
Yes.
Officially, yes, you are. You're like 2 weeks.
Yes, well, put it this way: we're allowed out for essentials, and I don't think the police are pulling people over asking for their papers. But the bars are closed, the gyms are closed, the restaurants are closed, and it's supposed to be official business, like going to the store or seeing a shut-in or going to just that kind of stuff. Schools are closed. How is it in your area, Tony?
Same thing. Bars are closed. Restaurants, takeout only. So, we're trying to support a lot of our local businesses by, just going there and, taking out, especially on the weekends. But you're right, essentials, that being, food, medication, things like that, things that you need. Basically what I do since I'm working from home is, I wake up in the morning, I change from my sleep sweatpants to my fancy work sweatpants, and then, work, and then if the weather was nice today, I did about a 3.5 mile walk during lunch around the neighborhood, came home, and I haven't left the house since. I've been training in the house, and Tom, I started this, Rich saw it on Facebook, but what I started doing was every hour on the top of the hour during my work day, so I start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I finish at 4, so I do 9 times a day. I'll do, 20 arm circles, 10 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups, 25 crunches, 10 leg lifts, and about a minute of just real fast shadow boxing, and then 10 squats. So you figure, then you times that by 9, and you get a good workout during the day doing that.
Real good, real good. I mean, there are so many things to do. Like we were going to talk about that a little more last week, but there are so many approaches. I mean, balance, flexibility, just body weight resistance. I mean, so many things.
Yeah, we're going to have actually a post on the site tonight, FightNewsUnlimited.com, that was written for us by a marketing company through that IntelliFluence company that I work with, and they're actually going to talk about transitioning fitness to an online marketplace, and if you have a business in fitness too, which I'm sure a lot of people who read our site do. But we got a free article written by them, and we also supposedly are going to get $5,000 worth of free advertising and marketing from them. But I don't know how they value that when they're just writing an article for me. I don't think it's going to be huge, but who knows? Yeah. So basically, it's going to be a different world, and they're talking about new world order. They've been saying that for generations. That's the big conspiracy of all these people. But this is really a new world order, whatever the reason behind all of it. And then the thing about telemarketing and telecommuting and all that, everything's going to go online. And then it's so up in the air as to whether people can be in the same room with each other again for a while. So I just hate to think about the implications for all kinds of sports. They've already canceled the Olympics. Eddie Hearn has an interesting perspective He says that boxers at the lower levels are going to probably go leave the sport for other jobs. Because, some of the higher-up fighters who make more money will be able to get by with a couple months off. But they've already shut it down for March and April for Eddie Hearn and a lot of events in the United States and Italy, of course, everywhere in the world. Go ahead.
I mean, you look at it like this. A lot of these fighters, like you that are not at the top, top level yet. We're not talking about your Canelo Alvarez's and your Tyson Furies and Deontay Wilders and guys like that. We're talking about your regular guy that, especially the guys that are climbing up the ranks right now. They're only getting maybe a couple $100 a round at most, and they're a lot of them still work full-time jobs aside from fighting, and then as they progress, and sometimes they quit their job and then they try to make fighting a full-time. But for these other guys that were just getting to that level, they gotta right now make ends meet.
Yeah. Well, it's expanding a little bit. It's really hitting New York hard, which is,
yeah,
very dangerous because, how many people go through the city of New York. But it's just interesting to see some of the pictures coming out of, like, nobody crowding any streets there. It's like barely a car driving by. And, even when I go out in my own neighborhood, which is not on lockdown, the governor has refused to do a stay-at-home order here. I feel like I'm breaking the law just driving around. It's crazy.
It was funny, Rich, because like I said, we started the work from home 2 weeks ago, and we were one of the first companies to start it, because figure my main company's in Center City. Most of the people that travel to my office travel via public transportation, whether that's bus or subway or train. And it's a heavily condensed area. So you want to say, let's lessen the chance of getting, people sick. Let's keep people from home, keep people, away from other people. So we started doing that, like I said, a couple weeks ago. Then like I said, as things became more and more restricted, as Pennsylvania, like Montgomery County in Pennsylvania where I live, has had a number of issues. People within a matter of miles from me have had issues. Yeah. So, we heard like they were really saying like go out only for essentials and this and that. So the other day we're on a conference call at work, and it was a really nice day, about 65 degrees, beautiful sunny weather. We're all about to break for lunch. We got to go through this conference call, and someone's like, "Hey, trying to make the best of it. Go for a walk today during lunch." I'm like, "Wait, are we allowed to leave the house?" They're like, "Yeah, Tony, you're not on house arrest. You're allowed to go out for exercise. Just stay away from people."
Yeah.
So, of course, I gotta make sarcasm about everything.
I saw my first fellow runner in the neighborhood today. That was funny.
I've seen people walking. It's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But because right now, if you don't make some type of humor, that's when you go crazy. And
right.
It's a serious situation, but you got to have a little bit of levity. So the first thing I said was before my walk the other day, I said, "Okay," I said, "I'm about to go for a walk." So I'm just hoping it goes for the best. And I said, if I don't post within an hour, I said, somebody come bail me out. And people laughed. They got humor out of that. And then I got back, and this was funny. And I knew this song was going to come up on the playlist of what I had put on that day. But I said, as I'm walking, I had a lot of classic '80s songs on. I wanted to listen to some good '80s stuff. And one of the songs was by a group called REM. And it was a very apocalyptic song called "It's the End of the World and We Know It."
Oh, is that the one?
If there wasn't enough social distance before that came on,
yeah.
People saw me going, "Oh, hell no," to my headphones. They kept the distance from me.
The other thing...
I texted my friend last night.
The other thing I laugh about...
I feel bad for my friend because
that's
he
in the
is
news.
my friend, and, anybody that spends a lot of time with me, I pity. But I sent him a text message. I said, I was walking today, and I said there were a couple old ladies a little bit behind me, and I said, so I cross-custed them. I said if they weren't keeping a social distance away, they were after I did that. He goes, you ain't right. I said, it took you 36 years to realize that?
So, the other thing is, there's a lot of people out there using the phrase, the light at the end of the tunnel, to describe us getting through this. And I'm like, what idiot told them to use that phrase? Because that's really not a good idea when people are dying. The light at the end of the tunnel is like when they think they're going to the heavens, So they're out there saying that like it's a good thing. The light at the end of the tunnel. This is crazy. There is some humor in it. You have to see some in it. It's still relatively low for the death rate. It is climbing a little bit, Is it a concerning amount? I don't think so yet. We had supposedly our highest number of deaths over this last 24 hours. But I still don't trust the numbers as far as, who is positive right now. And, are those deaths accurate? Because we had, I don't know if we talked about this last week or if it was after the news cycle last week. We had some people in, what's the state? Arizona, who drank some fish cleaner. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, so just over this last week, I think it was after the show last week, but these people drank some fish cleaner. And it was blamed on Trump, number one, which was kind of stupid because, yes,
unbelievable.
Trump did recommend and say that this stuff was anecdotally proven to be good and we should try it and who knows, and he's got a hunch. He did trump up the drug, I guess you could say. But these people drank fish cleaner because it had the ingredient on the list of what was in it. They never researched it, as far as anybody knows. Never went online and checked it out and said it was cool. But they still, the wife who survived, the husband died. The wife still tried to blame Trump for it, number one. Number two, I read one article that said it was distinguished as a COVID death in Arizona. And these people didn't even have COVID.
It's like, it's like, I know, like, there's certain ingredients in certain items that get mixed. So if I read, a bottle of bleach, and I'm like, oh shit, it has whatever in it, and that, kills whatever. I said, let me go. I'll go get a bleach, and I'm going to be good to go. No, I'm not. Bleach
with fluoride, right? That's going to whiten my teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
No, don't do it. So yeah, don't drink fish cleaner. That's the moral of the story. That's not going to help you. It is funny, though. I saw Dr. Fauci there get asked point blank, vitamin C and vitamin D. What about those? Should people be taking those? And he basically did not give an answer as to, like, whether it helps. He basically said, it's not going to kill you, no matter how much you take. So who cares whether you take it or not? Basically was his answer. So I think that's a good bet, those two. He didn't discourage it, so go ahead. But anyway, there's some stories coming out of this that are interesting. Number one, I just talked about the boxers. Probably going to have to find some second jobs, probably with Uber Eats or something if they have a nice car. They'll be delivering. That's another thing. Boober Eats is a big thing now with the strip clubs that are out of business. They're going and bringing the strip to the customer with the food. I don't know how sanitary that is, but that's a phenomenon we're seeing. This one here is one we can get excited about, Tony, as old timers. Former WBA super lightweight world champion, retired from boxing in 2014. Who am I talking about? Do you know? Gavin Reese. He only sparred once in the last 4 years. And so somebody on Facebook decided to just totally go after the guy and be wicked rude. And so the guy's name on Facebook, I guess, was Danny Slug, or that's his nickname or something. So the old man, as he calls himself, says, I ain't out yet. And he posted the video. Guess how many punches it took to shut the kid up?
Probably a thing.
One gut punch, and the kid quit.
One gut shot? Yeah, that sounds about right.
One gut shot. Liver punch. Sent him to the canvas, too. Less than 30 seconds. So, he says, Danny Slug, think before you open that trap again. This old man ain't out yet. And, of course, it's I got to remind you of the last time we talked about this was a guy named Charlie Zelenoff going after none other than Deontay Wilder. Wow. And that was some pretty vicious shit he said to get that, to inspire that showdown. He said something about putting duct tape over his daughter's mouth. So
yeah,
Deontay
and his daughter has, a disability to make it even worse.
So, and then he brought racism into it, which is another phenomenon I found interesting today. Yesterday, actually, I delivered wood, and this guy was straight out of Jamaica, and New Hampshire's not very. Doesn't have a lot of thick black neighborhoods around, so it's kind of rare to see a black guy around here. So anyway, there's no problem with that. I don't have any racial issues whatsoever, but under the circumstances, we can't shake hands or whatever. So while I was getting ready to leave, we had already talked about the virus and everything. I was unloading wood with him, we chit-chatted. And then, I normally would shake a guy's hand and give him a business card. But I gave him the business card and I didn't want to shake his hand. So I said, I'm sorry, I can't shake your hand. We're not supposed to do that. And I was like, driving away going, did that sound racist? As a white guy, I was like, I hope he didn't think that was racist. No. That's what it's come to. But, yeah. Nope, wasn't racist, if the guy's listening. But, yeah. This guy really brought it to Deontay Wilder, and Deontay made him pay for it. But actually, the dude kept coming for more. He was a little bit elusive at first, but once he got a couple mean shots to the head, he shut the hell up and got the hell out of there. Reese was retired with a 38-4-1 record, 19 knockouts, and won the belt, WBA super lightweight belt, in 2007, and then lost it in his first defense in 2008. And he actually won Prize Fighter, the big Prize Fighter, in 2009. Then moved down to lightweight, where he won the British and European titles. Then he challenged Adrian Broner in 2013, but was stopped in 5 rounds and never made it back. So, and then, Tony, when all the lower level guys decide to quit, then you and I will be in such good shape to fill their slots when it's all ready to come back, right?
There we go.
Keep working out. Tony's actually turned me on to, we're going to have to start a Facebook club for this, for all the old people that have Nordic Trac still kicking around.
Yeah. Dude, I had my Nordic Trac in 1993. Because when I first got it, I thought, this is funny. Here's when I first started using a Nordic Trac. I'll never forget it. We went over my dad's friend's house because they had a really big rec room, and we were going to watch the Mike Tyson Larry Holmes fight. And I was only 11 maybe, and they had a Nordic Trac, and I was on Nordic Trac. I liked it and whatever. And then it was 5 years later, we decided to get one. After we had the one relative moved out, and we were able to put it in the one room where he would stay. So we got it, and it was right around that time I had actually injured my right shoulder playing football. So I couldn't do the arm part of it because I was still doing physical rehab. But I remember doing it, and I lost some weight that summer. I got in great shape for football season, and I hurt my knee, of course. And then I'll use it every so often. And then I hadn't used it in a long time, and I'm like, you know what? With the treadmill I have in the basement, I really don't like that much. I'm going to start doing some running outside again now that the weather is getting nice. But I'm like, you know what? How about some low impact Nordic Trac? And I was doing that thing. I'm like, I forgot how fun this thing was.
Yeah, I got to dust mine off. Literally, there's dirt on it. But
I had to dust mine off there.
My dad actually bought it probably around the same time frame. I think it was right before he started the chief job in Webster. So Had to be something he brought from our house in Quincy to Webster. And I graduated high school in 95, so it had to be a little bit after that. So, yeah, probably around 96, 97 maybe, latest. But he had one that he bought, and literally, like, I never saw him use it. Not once. And later on, he hung all his suits and stuff off of it, and his military type, cop uniform stuff. So one of his friends, I guess, had seen this, and he said, "Oh yeah, your father's got the $1,000 coat hanger there." It's like, yeah, I guess that's a good way to word it. But, so now it's just been sitting in our pool room where I set up my gym, and I moved it off to the side, but never even thought of using it till you kept saying, "Yeah, I did 15 minutes on the Nordic Trac today." I was like, yeah. And it's always that one day when you're like, "Nah, it's too shitty out. I'm not going to run." And you can just get on the Nordic Trac. Mm-hmm. And it's you don't have to plug it in, right? You don't have to plug yours in, do you?
Nope.
Yeah. Fuck it. I'm going to try it. And I'll blame you if I get injured. Just kidding.
Most people do.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to the boxing news, we do have Kubrat Pulev trying to make the schedule, trying to push it off. He's saying that his fight with Anthony Joshua is canceled, postponed, even though it isn't. That's set for June 20th, so we should be in the clear by then. But who knows? We can't really predict this at this point. I would think that we'd have some kind of vaccine or treatment by then to figure this shit out. But June 20th, he has been told that there is a chance that it could be postponed, but as of the moment, it's still scheduled. So no refunds yet.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how do you suppose? We were just talking about home training, and I think for general conditioning, you can get some damn good workouts in your house.
Yeah.
Maybe you and one other person, but for the kind of fight training you need, I guess you could hang a heavy bag in your backyard. But we all know you need good sparring. You need everything.
Yep.
And that's an open question. I even heard some NFL guys were complaining, said that they're just didn't have a place to go. And I'm thinking, well, geez, with the money you make, stop it with a home gym, something. But it is a concern. I guess you could just try to stay in shape generally, but you need fight-specific training. We'll fall back on one of my favorite phrases. Being in shape is one thing, but being in fight shape is a whole nother level.
Well, you're going to have to build them.
Who knows when this will be?
We're going to have to engineer our own boxing robot then, so it can't get the virus. So, Combat Sports Robot, sponsored by Fight News Unlimited.
Yeah.
What's that lab in Boston? Scientific lab that does the robots? Boston Scientific or something? Yeah. I could see them doing something like that. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long they have to postpone after they're just doing the social distancing period to see if this thing really does die off. But I really still think it's just a glorified bird flu, and it's giving people pneumonias, serious pneumonias. But I don't know. There's a lot of theories going around now about how the crisis is being taken advantage of.
Is that one thing that they were touting? I know they were going to try it on like 10,000 people on Tuesday. But then the media reported nothing. So, were they trying that, or were they not trying that? I don't know. But it was a malaria drug, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, hydrochloride, something that's in the fish tank cleaner. But it's a malaria drug, and I think that's what the Chinese were using to get a handle on, So, if you find something that works, you do it. You get as many people cured as possible, and then you move on from there.
Well, the other thing they're talking about doing is passive immunization, they call it. where they take the blood of somebody who has beaten it. They've been tested. They have no further symptoms. It's been past the incubation period or whatever, which is sounding like it's 2 weeks. So then they take that person's blood and they put it into somebody who has it and is suffering bad. And it's supposedly worked in a lot of other situations. But then, they sit there and they go,
Did you post that tonight?
We have to test this. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Everything was fine.
That should be promising. But I'm on day 11 today of my 714X, so officially past the halfway point because it's 21 shots. And I can say I'm pretty much 100% sure that my coworker had COVID already, has dealt with the worst part of it, and is on the downside of it. So could still transmit it. I've been working around them 2 days in a row, and I have developed no symptoms. So my immune system feels like it's strong. I was able to do my full run today, no issues, no fever, nothing. I'm having the same stuff going on that I've had the last few times I've had it, like stuff like where I've had injuries and everything starts to crack and pop. I call it positive side effects, but nothing like a fever, runny nose, cough, nothing. So I think everything I'm taking is working. But yeah. I'm going to give it the full cycle before I really hype it up. I'm definitely going to put an article out and all that, but it's, I've been doing this thing. I should probably do this on like a skit every day, but I've been trying to like ask Alexa all kinds of shit to see what the standard AI response is for all the questions on COVID and everything like that. So I found it interesting. I can't tell you exactly what she said. I don't remember, but I found it interesting when I asked certain questions like, "Is the coronavirus a false flag operation?" You know what she said? No, coronaviruses are not false flags operations. Like she was mad. I was like, "Whoa, easy there, Alexa." Oh. But yeah, and then I asked her, what is the cure for coronavirus? And she went into like a different speech than what the story was behind it. But she started out with like half of what the story was, and then went into like what are the methods that people are using to deal with it. It's kind of funny, but it was nothing like and she didn't mention Tylenol or anything like that. It was funny. But it's the climate we live in. Another interesting story from ClaimsJournal.com that I read today. An anti-vaccine MMA fighter, ex-MMA fighter, I guess he's retired. He has sued Facebook for kicking him off. Blames vaccines for his kid's death. A guy named Nick Catone. I think he was in the UFC briefly, if I remember correctly, but I might be wrong. I just think that name sounds familiar. But anyway, his infant son, Nicholas, died May 2017, according to this lawsuit filed in Manhattan. After his son's death, Catone started a daily journal on Facebook in which he regularly talked about his son and blamed vaccines for contributing to his death. On February 24th, Facebook deleted his account without an explanation, according to the suit. Catone said that as a result, he lost all his memories and pictures he had of his son on Facebook. And last year they announced a policy on Facebook to combat misinformation about vaccines, which health organizations worldwide have determined as safe. As part of the policy, it said it would disable accounts of repeat offenders. So, Catone actually says that censorship of anti-vaccine advocates embodies Facebook's categorical attempt to cater to the pharmaceutical industry. And he is seeking to get paid punitive damages sufficient to punish and deter Facebook for violating the First Amendment. They say because the sum of $5 billion appears to be insufficient to deter Facebook, the plaintiff asked the jury for a sum significantly in excess of that amount. And Facebook did not reply for the story. But, yeah, I don't think he's going to get $5 billion, but that'll be interesting to see if he wins that case. Because I don't believe for a second that that Facebook isn't out there maintaining what gets put out in their name. I've seen stuff get flagged on my own posts by accident because their computer systems were fucked up. But they're going more and more to artificial intelligence sorting that out. But they're definitely sorting stuff out. And some people are getting absolutely no explanation for it. It's just disappearing. And I see more and more these people that are putting out the conspiracy theory videos and the world global takeover and the financial system collapse videos. They're not even calling it by the virus's name. They're spelling it out in the video, not even in just a description. They're in the video going corona. They don't want to say the word corona in the video. It's like, are you guys that afraid your shit's just gonna get deleted? That's interesting times. Anyway, good news on the Tommy Morrison front. I haven't put out an article yet. I'm still procrastinating on that one, but Trisha did get her hearing. She's been waiting for. So she's going to have a very big opportunity to prove her case. Who knows when Vegas is going to get back to business and let that happen, but they have agreed to it, which is a huge hurdle. So congratulations for that. The only other news is Dana White has still been saying they're going to find a will and find a way to do this Khabib versus Tony fight. I don't know how it's going to be possible, but Ben Askren came out and said the only way you're going to do it is if it is only Tony and Khabib. But because there's a limit of like 10 people, so you could have like Dana White, a referee. The judges could be remote, and you just have those two guys and their coaches, and that's it. There's your card, no undercard. That's it. There's your fight. But no, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Not that they're ever going to listen to anything that Ben Askren suggests, anyway. But they may have to beam it. No audience, of course. That's probably going to be the first rule, but. I don't know. I don't know who's going to accept it. Because, is it April 18th? It's supposed to be. They obviously had to move it because they're supposed to be in New York. So now they're going to have to move it to some other location where there's probably low spread. And the latest plan, I guess, is Trump is saying that they're going to open up, whatever open up means, certain counties where the spread is low to, commerce and, movement. And then other ones are going to have to stay locked down. Of course, the media is all over that. Well, what happens when the people from the crowded no-go communities come to the ones that are having worse spread because they're open? Like, oh boy. But yeah. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right?
Right.
So I don't know. I hopefully I'm immune to it already at this stage, but if you do get it, the word that I'm getting is that the most concerning symptoms for people that don't get the bad lung symptoms are the high fever, over 100 degrees, and this is what Travis Kaufman had. He has been confirmed over the last day as having it. That. And I read his post as he was going through it. He was very informative. He said he had a 101 degree temperature and a lot of body aches. And his daughter was also sick, but he's more concerned about his elderly family and stuff that he might expose. But yeah, it's definitely serious. There are really people dealing with it, whether it's a natural flu, a biological weapon, or really is this new corona bullshit. But I don't know. All I know is it's going to really change the way we operate as a society. And this government is going to use that crisis in a lot of ways that had nothing to do with, really having any kind of reduction in the spread. It's just because they can do it right now. They're going to do things. So we got to kind of watch out for that. Was, last week we got all the conspiracies out that we could think of. There was one that has come out more recently about the currency. This thing is supposedly, this is the latest, that it's going to be used to wipe out our debt with China. Because we're going to blame all this financial damage on China, and whatever debt we have with them, we're going to say, screw you, you're on your own. And there has been some rumblings from my military friends about these disputed islands in the South China Sea, where that could be one of those, Gulf of Tonkin incidents with Vietnam starting over those stupid islands. But there hasn't been any real aggressive, shooting at each other in anything that's happened there so far. So I don't see that happening, but it is a theory. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. They think there's going to be a whole new global currency. These financial conspiracy theorists out there. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You don't know what to believe these days. But I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's like what they say: every rumor has a grain of truth. Something that started a rumor had a little bit of truth to it, and it just got exaggerated along the way in most cases. So, yeah. We still won't know the real story probably for a long time until they really get hard evidence of what really is behind all this, but it's definitely going to put us on the sidelines for a long time. So the fascinating thing is going to be people are going to have time to look into this. And is the real story ever going to come out? And how soon is it going to come out? And, how long are we going to tolerate living like this? That's the thing. It's kind of funny listening to people talk about how they're only doing this martial law type thing in a nice way right now. Because they know if they did it in a forceful way, people would come out with their guns. Which is one of the most legitimate points those guys make. That's true, but it is kind of ridiculous. Even the military guys are Army, Navy, Marines, we're all in a truce now because we get to make fun of the National Guard guys. But, National Guard can only go so far. And these guys are us. So, you're going to tell the guy not to go to the store when he wants to go to the store? It's going to be a hard job for them. To be looking their fellow man in the eye and telling them, no, you can't fucking carry out your daily things that you're used to. So that's going to grate on a lot of people's patience. And already there's a phenomenon now on Facebook. It's instead of carpool karaoke, it's quarantine karaoke. So everybody's getting involved in that. My girlfriend was locked on it for 3 hours the other day on Facebook. So, there's just a lot of new things coming out of this environment. Very shocking.
Well, and then the thing is, it sucks. It's, it's hard. I know a lot of people are in dire straits right now. And it's serious. Some people that are falling ill. I heard another fighter from Detroit, Derek Jefferson, who was a heavyweight contender back in the 90s. He was on a ventilator as recently as yesterday. So, nobody right now is, exempt from this. But at the same time, you have to maintain a positive outlook. Don't be stupid. Now it's and then you're looking at people that are just utterly asinine. One guy apparently in New Jersey, just a smart ass. That's the only way to put it. Goes into a store, goes to get something, goes to order it, steps up. The woman goes, please, you're getting too close. Can you step back? So he steps up in her face again. Tells her he has the coronavirus, which he most likely didn't. Then coughs in her face. Now he gets arrested for terroristic threats because he's an asshole. And you look at his picture, you look at his mugshot, and you know what? He's a person that you'd want to punch him in the face, and then you want to punch him in the face for getting his face in the way of your hands.
I did. I did also read.
You hear about this other woman.
Good.
What?
Go ahead.
I'll say about another woman I read about. Goes into a grocery store, just being a smart ass, so it's coughing all the produce, thinking she's funny, then they have to throw it all away. You know, people are starving out there. You know, people are right now having food shortages because, you know, people are hoarding, which, you know, is because people are scared. You know, and you think you're funny, and you're wasting $35,000 worth of food because you think it's funny, and then, but you know what's going to happen? He's going to get caught because obviously she's on surveillance, and it's going to be called as I didn't mean to. I was just playing a joke. And here's my thing, and I'm a little bit old school, and I think that's what's wrong with you guys. Because I'm very old school, my dad's very old school. And a person like that, you know what you do? You don't slap him on the wrist. You take a razor strap across their ass, and you take a few, you know, layers of skin off, and then you maybe throw a little salt on there to cure it. And you know what? You ain't gonna do it no more.
Like the kid they caned in Singapore years ago, right? For graffitiing cars.
You know, when you're getting caned over in Singapore, and you see like the big welts in their ass are actually splitting open. You know, they ain't gonna do it no more.
Yeah.
That's you know, the way I am. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people out there. That's for sure.
You know, somebody comes up to me and to do something like that, they're going to get a very up close view of my left hook, and they're not going to like it.
Maybe we could put these canings on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
We'd have to have a color commentator who used to weld the cane. He could, but then we could do the slow motion. see the angle.
Well, you know me, like.
Here's a funny thing, Tom. You know, the funny thing is, it's like I would be perfect for color commentary on that.
I didn't do any commentary, and I haven't posted it yet, but I don't know if I told you guys, I did like a squirrel trap, a box trap, and I was going to do like a little YouTube skit of like, hey, you know, if you're struggling in the pandemic and you can't get to the store and you need a meal, you can catch a squirrel. Try to catch the squirrels that have been eating my chicken feed. So I set up the box trap and I put the camera on it, and you know, I tried catching the squirrel. He came close to it once, but then he saw me looking at him and he hasn't come back. But I caught one chicken who caught herself more than anything. I wasn't even looking at the trap, and I came back and she was in there. Sprung. So then the other day, it had snowed. So the box trap was already sprung, but there was a corner of it that was off the ground. And a cardinal got up in it and was stuck. He couldn't get himself the hell out. He couldn't figure out where he came in. So I actually had to physically pick him up and release him from his trap. So I actually got to hold the cardinal for the first time. That was kind of interesting. Did not expect that out of the squirrel trap experiment. And I was going to let the squirrel go. I wasn't going to actually show people how to cook squirrel. But I have been seeing that circulating online after the fact. People showing like, this is Cajun chicken or whatever, you know. This is how you, this is the meat cuts and everything. Like, they literally showed that the last couple of days. Survival chicken, that's what the funny term was for it.
As long as it's not bats. As long as it's not bats.
Yeah, exactly. But this one that's terrorizing my chickens here is very fat, so I'm sure I know what he's eating too. I buy it. And I think there's one that lives in the house. I took some pictures I put on Facebook, my backyard photography, and I've read all the research there is. They say it's not possible, but I do have a confirmed sighting, I believe, of a hybrid gray and red squirrel. It has happened. I don't know if it's related to the virus or whatever, but yeah, we got a hybrid squirrel. He's half red, half gray, and you can just tell. And there's another one like that comes out when there's no red squirrels out, and it looks more like the red squirrel. So it might be the first generation, and this other one's the next generation. But yeah, I've seen it. It's definitely a mix of the two. But yeah, that's the only mutation going around here. And by the way, that reminds me of one other thing I got to mention about this virus. The one question I said that they weren't answering last week, they are now answering that you cannot get it again, supposedly. But then I heard Sanjay Gupta today, the CNN doctor, say, well, it's not mutating much. So what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, really.
It's mutating, but it's not mutating much, I guess, now. So they don't know what they're talking about.
Nope.
It's not very comforting, but who knows? So I'm just waiting for the national 2-week lockdown order, and then they'll send out the checks, and you won't even be able to go to the bank to cash it.
Yep.
And it'll have like a 2-week expiration date. Like one of those scratch tickets that says you won $10,000, and then you turn it around and you read the rules, and it says, "Oh, this is just a trick." But yeah, somehow they're going to use this crisis, I think, to show us that we're gonna live by socialism for a couple months here, because we're forced to, and that's not going to work. It's going to bankrupt us, so it can't continue. That's going to be what happens. And then Trump's going to get elected in a landslide.
You know what? Two things, to say, and this is something I said to a bunch of coworkers of mine a couple weeks ago. We had just started working from home, mandated, on a Tuesday. So what happened was I got brought back to Center City on March 2nd was my first day back, and they had made an agreement they were going to let me do 2 days a week in a satellite office, the first week being Thursday, Friday, and then per my request, Monday, Friday. So that way on a Sunday I didn't have to think about getting up extra early and driving down and catching the train and all that. So the first week, I worked the first 3 days in the city. The first day I'm in the city, there was a gas leak about 2 blocks from my office, and they had to evacuate the building because they didn't know if it was in our building. So they're like, "Did you cause this?" I'm like, "I did not cause this." I worked Tuesday, Wednesday. I then worked in the satellite office Thursday, Friday, and then again on Monday. So Monday, I get into the office, which is owned by my parent company, and everybody's, "We're leaving." I said, "Where the hell?" Company said, "Go home." I said, "I don't think they mean the satellite people." They're like, "When our company says go home, we go home." 2 hours later, I'm going to call, starting tomorrow, everybody's from home. I didn't mouth off that I wanted to. So then the next day, we're looking at the stocks really going down. We're looking at all this panic going on, and Wall Street's starting to go into a flux, and everything's going on. And we're having a inner office, like, instant message Skype chat. And the one girl trying to, supervising the team, and she's trying to keep everybody's spirits up. And she goes, "Hey guys, look on the bright side, we get our annual bonus tomorrow." And I go, "Yeah, we get our bonus tomorrow, Wednesday, and we get our paycheck, our bi-weekly paycheck, on Friday. And we get two pays this week." And I said, "I hate to be the opportunistic weasel of our group, but this is the perfect week to have 2 investments going into your 401ks, and you're buying extra stock at a low cost." And someone goes, "What are you, a stockbroker?" I said, "No, I'm just smart." And I said, "I'm getting another paycheck tomorrow. Tomorrow's my, bi-weekly pay. And, hey, guess what? I'm getting another $200, almost $77, almost $300 going right in and grabbing shares low."
Right.
I mean, and you know what? When we all come out of this, all those shares you bought low that really go up, they're just going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, and there's I tell you, I just turned on freaking Jim Cramer, Mad Money, today for 5 minutes, and guess what he's pushing? Medical stocks and 5G stocks. And technical stocks, a lot of technical stocks. Adobe, he was saying get more of Adobe. That's going to play a lot into people working from home, documents-wise. Let's see, what else was he saying? Some 5G company. He was actually recommending like a couple surgical companies. Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company. He was pushing that real high. So it's just like, wow, they're already figuring out the opportunistic markets here. They're finding ways around it. So certain sectors will go up. I know myself, I got asked to do the service that I've been asked a bunch of times to do, and I've already gone through the training, but I just never had the phone to do it. And now I got a nice new Samsung phone that my girlfriend got me. But it's called 6YA, and it's like teleworking as a hustle, like Uber. You just get people that call you about chainsaws and small engine repair, and you tell them, how to go through the checklist, and you can say, all right, I'll call you back in 5 minutes if you don't know a problem solution. You can look it up online and then call them back, and you get paid, and they can tip you and all that. They developed it quite a bit since I first started looking at it as an option, but I just never pulled the trigger on it. So I might actually start doing that myself, even though I'm starting to get a lot of requests for work. And one lady called me today and said, the job you looked at last year, well, there's nobody on the road because it's on a main road. Maybe you want to come down and do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. As long as they're not locking us down, it's probably a good idea. No cars on the road. So, yeah, there's going to be certain sectors that are going to be busy as hell. For no apparent reason, and because people will still have money to spend, and like all those people that saved for that nest egg, this is what they're going to spend it on, like yard cleanup, and because they're going to be stuck at home, they're going to be compelled to be at home for a lot, and they're going to start looking around. And they're going, yeah, I want that tree gone and that tree gone. So it's not going to be a slowdown for me much. It's definitely a slowdown for people buying firewood and stuff, because that's the last resort. But for the rest of it, I should be all right. But there's some industries that are just going to get completely wiped out for now. So this all returns to normal, and sports might be one of them, unfortunately for us. But we'll find ways around it. We'll get guests on, and I just hope it doesn't evolve to the ultimate conspiracy, where you have your inside people and then you have your outside people. You can't go outside. You're an inside person. But yeah, hopefully I'll be classified as an essential employee in this if it does come to lockdown, so I can go out. But at the same time, you have to count your blessings that you're a little we're all at least a little bit technically experienced. We know how to use smartphones, so that if it comes to always working from home, we know how. I guess, yeah. If you're behind the times there, you're shit out of luck.
I was on the cutting edge of that, doing it. I was doing it back in the 90s. One of the early adapters with the psychic lines. Yeah, how about that?
Tony remembers when I used to be on camera doing this show.
Still doing it now.
We used to do back in the old school days, we used to do I used to put like hand wraps on and shit and bounce around on the little camera. For a little while. I wasn't always entertaining, but it was kind of funny. But anyway, stay safe, guys, I guess. That's all our content for now, until we have some events to talk about. And stay in shape.
Like a plan.
We'll have to have some. We'll have to have some friendly competition, Tony, on weight loss or something while this thing's going on.
Yeah, well, like I said, when this is over, I'm going to be in shape. Whether that shape is ripped around, we haven't figured out yet. But
it's going to be ripped. We'll both be ripped. Yeah, I can tell you're taking it seriously, and I'm just in the midst of the 714X, so I can't help doing it. It's like I took my shot last night, and it was like the 10th day, and last time it was like the 5th day I felt this feeling, but it was just like I couldn't rest. It was like I took it late at night, like a 9:30 time frame, and by like 10:30 I wanted to go smash the bag. Nothing was going to stop me. So yeah, it was intense. It went right to the spot. So I think that's going to be a big boost. No pun intended. But anyway, till next week, I will have something written, definitely between this one and next week's show about Tommy. We'll have episode 1 on that, and I will have an installment about the 714X, because I'll be pretty close to the end of it by next Thursday. So we'll kill both of those birds with one stone. And stay away from the corona.
All right, guys. Next week.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, right.
Don't touch your face. Don't drink fish tank cleaner.
Yeah,
Adios.
stay away from that. All right.